Alright guys, getting off to a kind of a late start, but I'm going to take you with me today on my job. We're actually creating another YouTube video, so this is behind the scenes on another YouTube channel. It's actually a doctor who presents information on YouTube, so I'm going to show you some of the lighting setups and some of the stuff that I do to prepare for that. So yeah, follow along. First part of my day is packing my car with all of this gear. So let's get it. Alright, so one of the hardest parts about prepping for a shoot, any like smaller shoots where you don't have a truck, is transporting the equipment, all the C-stands and the lights and camera gear and all that kind of stuff, the grip that needs to go with you to your shoot. A lot of people use carts and all different things like that to transport them, especially when you have a smaller crew. That's kind of the way to go. I used to have a Jeep, and the Jeep was awesome for this sort of thing. I would just load it up with all types of gear, and yeah, it worked pretty well for that. It was kind of like a smaller grip package, but now I have this Toyota, smaller car. It's like a mid-sized sedan, and I've just had to make a little more compact package that I take on smaller jobs. So I just consolidated things a little bit. I still take a few C-stands and a couple of baby stands and low boy, things like that are a little bit more compact, that don't quite take up as much room. I try to avoid things like a low boy, or I'm sorry, a combo, or any like larger like Mambo stands, things like that. And I used to take a ton of lights. Now I've really consolidated it and figured out which lights I need to complete the job. Here I am carrying out the Aperture Nova P300C. It's a great light. It's one of my favorite lights to use for pretty much any application. And I also have the 600D that I'm going to be using as my key today. Dude, LA. So hazardous. Alright, so I just arrived at my buddy Chad's house. He's going to be helping me out today. And then we're going to get on the road here in a minute. And just give him a call. Alright, let's give Chad a call.
On my way down.
Alright, buddy. Yeah, I'm in your little driveway.
Cool. Alright.
I'll see you in a minute.
Coming. Bye.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Let's throw this in the back. So after picking up Chad, we arrived at the location and started to unload my car. For a long time, I was doing this job just all by myself, and I quickly realized that I needed to bring along an assistant or a grip to be able to complete this, because it's quite a bit of setup and tear down and all that kind of stuff. And here we are using some tennis balls on the stands. Highly recommend using tennis balls to protect the floors whenever you're going into somebody's house or into a location that might have expensive furniture or anything like that. So one thing I've been doing is I started bringing an actual TV monitor. I have like 5-inch monitors and 7-inch monitors, but I've actually been using a 32-inch TV just to kind of see what I'm doing on set, and it helps so that I can set it up next to the director and the client, and they can take a look and see like a full image of what it is we're shooting. And it also just helps me a lot with lighting and kind of understanding what's going on. Today we're using the Aperture P300C. I got that set up, and I really love this light a lot. It's got Bluetooth control going into the Sidus link. It allows me to control all of my lights actually that are Aperture lights through the iPad, which is really fantastic.
Getting some fire footy for Scott's Films YouTube? Yeah, man. Hell yeah.
We kind of had to hit the ground running and quickly capture some B-roll of these meal preps. There was some food being prepared, and we had to quickly just capture some B-roll. So I went ahead and I took a 200D and just kind of backlit some of this food as it was being prepared, so we could just get some nice texture on it, and it looked great. Alright guys, so this is our set. Just want to take you guys through some of it. We have the Nova as our fill. Just a low boy stand. It's going to be our set right here where Talon is going to be sitting. And we have a 600 on another low boy. That's going into a lantern. We're using a little TV as a monitor. Here's our main camera with a teleprompter. So just shooting some B-roll here out on the treadmill and around the house, some cooking, some stuff going on here in the kitchen. Yeah, just getting some general content all around the house. So it's kind of run and gun.
Do you want to move it down that way more?
No, maybe a touch.
So for this setup in the garage, we had to move the treadmill around a little bit. We wanted to get some shots of our talent here exercising and doing his thing in the home gym. So I just opened up the garage door and I took one of the Nova panels with the softbox and just kind of pushed that off to one side just to kind of look a little bit like daylight. It's just set to 56K color temperature, and I just had that kind of pushing through as if it was kind of some more of the daylight just pushing across. And back on the interior stuff, I had that 200D that was also set to daylight, kind of off in the corner. And here's just a kind of a look at some of the food, some of the real tasty food that we were preparing. And then here is our home chef, and she's doing her thing, making some ground beef or whatever that is. And we just kind of backlit it with that 200D with kind of like a spotlight. And then once we finally got back inside into our talking head kind of YouTube setup, I had my 600D as my key, my Nova panel as a fill, and then I had it all going into the iPad. And then I repositioned that 200D that we were using for the cooking stuff, and then I went and I set that up in the background, and I just have it kind of wedged up into the blinds there, you can see, and it was just connected to a Cardellini clamp, and I just positioned it just so that I could get it just right in the right angle, but just kind of out of frame. And that's just my little hair light, little scratch light edge that's just kind of separating the talent from the background. And here I am, I'm just dialing in some of the settings. What I like to do is I use my light meter and the iPad at the same time, so I don't have to go around to each light and individually dial them in. I don't remember my settings, but I think this was probably around F4 with my key, and then I think I was around 2.8 or something like that with both the background hair light and also the fill. And yeah, there's that monitor again, as you can see, that we were using to get an idea. Also this glide gear teleprompter that you can use with a iPad. You just put it right in the front, and then you can use the iPad teleprompter app. Is absolutely fantastic. We've been using this teleprompter quite a bit, and it works really, really awesome for talent. Shout out to Chad here for helping me out and shooting some behind the scenes. Took a lot of photos on this one. Be posting some stuff on Instagram, so you guys can check those out. So yeah, this is basically our first setup of the day with the 600 and the lantern keying, that background light up there on the Cardellini clamp. We're shooting this on some GH5s. Chad approves. And yeah, I mean, they're pretty good cameras. They're pretty crispy, good for this, internet content. And here's a look at our second setup, where we have this other light that's coming down. We needed something that was a little bit, more low key, a little darker. The subject matter was a little bit darker. So we kind of needed something a bit moodier for this type of shot, kind of falls off into the background. So here I am just dialing in my levels, and here's a look at the final shot. So this setup here is called a goal post. What I did with the C-stand arms is I just strong-armed them together, and then I put a Cardellini clamp right in the middle to support the 600D, and then I just had the lantern and the skirt going around it to create a little pool of light. And then I just have the Nova panel just kind of on the side, just adding a little fill. So here's our third setup. We're just kind of getting the blocking together. I had Chad go ahead and sit in for me so I could dial in the levels and kind of figure out where I wanted things to look. Sometimes it's really helpful when you're lighting something to actually have a person actually sit in and see what the lighting is doing on their face. A lot of times you don't have talent, or not everything is ready. Maybe the cameras aren't ready. Maybe, you know, not all the staging is ready, but it's good to have somebody just kind of sit in and you can see what the lighting is doing. So that's really helpful in a lot of scenarios. So once you start kind of roughing things in, so I decided to put this backlight. So we wanted to add a little bit of negative fill here, and I didn't actually have a floppy, so I ended up just taking a black towel and just kind of bringing that in on the one side just to add a little bit of contrast. Sometimes you don't need a whole lot just to block a little bit of light. And here I am using the 200X one more time. 200X is actually nice because it's bicolor, so you can, you know, either go daylight or all the way down to I think like 2700. Only using 3 lights here. I've been using 3 lights throughout the whole day, and that's really kind of all I needed. It's just a key fill in the back. The 600D Pro is super powerful. I was actually able to use it outside pushing through the window, which was fantastic. And that's kind of like one of the best ways to use this light is actually through windows because it is so powerful. So I didn't actually need that light to be inside with us. It was actually, you know, outside on the patio pushing through, and it looked very natural coming through the curtains there as a key. And then I just, you know, used my other 2 lights just to kind of bring up the ambience, and that was it for this last setup, and it actually looked pretty good. And that's what we rolled on. All right, so finally just wrapped up. We finished up all of our setups. We did about 3 setups today. Hope you guys enjoyed seeing how we light a scene. Once again, I'm Scott Stevenson. Thanks for watching. Feel free to check out my past videos as well as subscribe to see my future ones. Peace.